some form or another. Are we not?
Welcome back to Andres today. We're going to be wrapping up Night Stalker, the hunt for a serial killer. Ooh, I like that. This is episode 4. The episode title is called Manhunt. This is obviously us going to be finally catching this guy. I do know that he has an interview, and I would like to watch that. I don't think it's long, so I definitely will be watching that after we watch this show and wrap it up. After this show, we will be getting into those quick cats. I have no idea what it's about, but I do know that you guys have voted for that show constantly. So we will be jumping into that, guys. But in this reaction, please like this reaction right away, guys. I know you're gonna like it. I promise you're gonna like it. Please share this reaction, because we are going to be bringing a lot of true crime fans to this platform. You guys know I have my little sections. I have my animation, I have my true crime, my documentaries, and then my other shows that don't have titles or categories. So we're just trying to bring in a whole bunch of diversity to this platform. So once again, please like it, because it will keep the video up in the algorithm. Ooh, I said that word. And please share it so we can bring in more of potential subscribers. And to the new subscribers, how you doing? So yes, this guy is crazy. He has been the worst person I've ever seen, literally in my entire life. He beats, I don't even, like I said in most of my other episodes, I don't compare serial killers because they're serial killers, but this one is just gruesome. He is disturbing. He literally does not make me actually go to bed safely. I'm terrified. I am absolutely terrified after I watch this documentary. So yes, guys, I'm ready to jump right into it, and we're gonna find out what they do to catch this guy. He was at the dentist's office. It didn't work out for that situation, so now I'm kind of interested in finding out about that. Before we get into this episode as well, you guys already know this is going to be a full reaction from my second and third tier. Actually, it will be a reaction for the entire platform, guys. And you get a full reaction, and you get a full reaction. So the entire platform of my YouTube platform, as well as my other platform, Patreon. So guys, please sign up to one of those platforms and help support the channel today. I'm ready to jump into this one more time. If you guys want to see other documentaries, it does not even have to be about true crime. Just any documentaries that you find on Netflix that you guys want me to jump into, please comment down below, guys. Comment down below. I will be reading them, I will be noting them, and I will be adding them to up and coming polls. So once again, any documentaries that you guys know about on Netflix, comment down below, guys, and we will jump into those documentaries or / true crimes, or both. With that being said, let's jump into Night Stalker and find out exactly how this killer gets caught.
He was always the kid who never quite fit in with anybody.
Richard was a thief since he was a kid.
Five Finger Richie.
His father was trying to reprimand him, and he would tie him up to a cross in the cemetery overnight.
He was telling him when he was a little boy horror stories about things that they had done while they were in the army in Vietnam. Practically all of the things that could poison a child were part of his life.
The reference desks at Central Library, very busy. Different faces are popping up. Lots of interesting people. On one of those days, I looked up and there was this gaunt, dirty black t-shirt, said Jack Daniels on it, disgusting rotted teeth. He had a very strong body odor, these dead eyes. I wanted to know where the books on horoscope and torture were. Luckily for me, they're both in another department.
Captain comes up and says,
"We got a name." He says, "San Francisco came up with the name Richard Ramirez."
match that to
That single print.
They came up with 8 Richard Ramirez's, one of which matched the fingerprint.
He had a lightweight criminal record. Nothing of any violence whatsoever.
Took that booking photo, took it over to the informant.
Identified the Richard Ramirez who was in fact the Night Stalker.
Had an identification, we had a picture, we knew what area he hung out in. Sheriff Block, Brad Gates from Orange County, conference call with the chief of police from San Francisco. Decide whether they release Richard's name and identification.
We were proceeding with alerting everybody in the community.
That please give us 24 hours, we'll have him.
Sit on a murder warrant? We've identified this vicious killer in possession of a murder warrant, and we sat on it, and somebody else is killed this weekend? We'd have blood on our hand.
I could understand why they thought it was wrong. We thought if he finds out he's wanted, then the chase is on.
Los Angeles, San Francisco, we're going with a media blitz.
We are satisfied that we now have
the identity of the Night Stalker.
Photograph was taken about 8 months ago.
There he is. There is the face. We still didn't know where Richard Ramirez was.
Saturday mornings, we would go over to the Yorkshire Grill, grab the Herald paper, at the cover, and here's a picture. That man says Night Stalker.
Seeing his face for the first time was really one of the hardest moments for me. I just kept thinking that that was the last face my grandmother ever saw.
To leave Los Angeles once this information came out, Richard Ramirez used the Greyhound bus depot. APD's SIS team handled the surveillance. Times there was an officer-involved shooting and the felon was killed.
I was hoping that if he pulled a gun that he'd be dead, the problem's over. I wanted the opportunity to talk to him, to meet my foe.
Ramirez is out of town. He's actually in Arizona.
Richard came inside through the back door, through where passengers enter. He recognized cops right away.
He doesn't know it's specifically for him, but he makes them. He goes into a liquor store, and on the front page is his picture.
He's scared,
He sees that and he panics.
Had to do was make it 8 miles to East Los Angeles, and he had a brother living there. And looked over at him, and his eyes got big, put the newspaper down, and pulled a cord. And Richard could see him dialing right away. Ramirez knew he had been made.
Point and talk, it's him. It's him.
Hey, killer's on that bus, follow that bus. And the chase was on.
He's being tracked by people calling in.
And across all lanes of the freeway. And he tried to carjack one gentleman.
Fausto Piñón wrestled with Ramirez
And get the car out.
When he couldn't do that, he ran across the street.
Give me the keys, give me the keys. And then I looked up at his face and I saw his eyes, the one who killed.
Manuel ran out front. He got a metal stick from right there from the gate, hit him in the head.
From another hit.
All the neighbors chased him down the street.
The guy with the bar was telling his wife to go get a gun so he could shoot me. I looked down the street and I saw sheriff's patrol car coming down the street.
Maybe 3 or 4 people on one side of the street. Could see one person sitting on the sidewalk.
Neighbors just hung together and got him.
There's one guy holding him at bay with his metal bar.
Blood out on his head, on his hands, on his shirt.
Stood up, I handcuffed him, I put him in the police car in the back seat.
The crowd was getting bigger, they were getting louder.
I could even hear people saying, "Ese es el matón, the killer, let's get him."
I was just really pissed off at the way things had turned out. I turned at all the people that are around me and I spit at them. I would have had a pistol. I would have made them scatter.
You ever been arrested before?
Danny, where's your car?
What's your name?
I love it.
I get notified they've got him in custody. And when I got to Hollenbeck Station, a lot of people around the station.
He was tall and slender. He had these dark eyes, and he just slowly looked around the room, look at you. And that's when I saw, wow, those eyes are terrible. There's evil in that man, and you could sense it.
He was just like the witnesses had been talking about. I started to introduce Gil, and he said, "I know who you are."
Called him that because he knew Mr. Salerno had worked on the Hillside Strangler.
Read about the Hillside Strangler, read about Bundy. He was a student.
I was from the streets. I'm Hispanic. I know he was from the streets. There was one point in time I got frightened. Do part of the interview, and I'm getting to a very sensitive area. He starts to breathe heavy. As he's doing this, his hands start coming off the table for a little bit. If this guy starts to float around this room, I'm out of here. Hollenbeck looked like a zoo. There was a crowd around there. They had gotten word somebody's out there going to kill him when he comes out.
Stay back, everybody back.
Salerno was riding in the back seat with Richard. I was in the front seat. As we came by, she opened up her blouse and she's swinging her breast back and forth. There you go, Rich. She's doing it for you. We had helicopters overhead, motorcade. They were just chanting, jumping up and down, screaming. They were happy.
Everybody was just yelling. It was like we won the World Series.
Every single person in that restaurant was clapping.
And we just shouted. We were so thrilled.
You could almost feel a collective sigh of relief.
I worked on that story for how long? With the hairdresser getting my hair cut. I'll never forget it.
California residents may sleep a little easier.
Loved how he was caught, that it was citizens in a neighborhood.
I am so proud of them. I can't begin to tell you.
When he came here, he made a mistake, didn't he?
Tying him in to all of the other crimes that we're looking at.
The reaction of many, thank God.
Wow.
Said, we're going to put you in the same cell as the Hillside Strangler, Kenneth Bianchi.
Richard just got all jazzed. He was excited.
We were playing a card.
This was like a celebrity cell.
Give him some status, let him think he's important. We left him in Kenneth Bianchi's old cell.
That particular day, a cousin of mine was getting married. Up, she puts her arm, interlocks it with mine. She says, "Oh, come on, I want to walk in with you." Because, "Oh, you're the talk of the town tonight." And all I care about is looking for my family. And I see my mom. We're sitting there embracing, and I'm saying, "It's okay. It's over with. Where's my wife? I want my wife." She comes, we embrace, and I said, "It's over. You can come home now."
We set up a lineup.
The night of the lineup, they brought a 6-year-old surviving victim.
Loud, voice and keep the statement. Where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the jewelry? Where's the jewelry?
I didn't have any fear about it.
"What is it, sweetheart?" Says, "Do I write the word 2 or the number 2?
Prosecutors say they intend to ask for the death penalty.
There was a prosecutor assigned, it was Phil Halpin. I was second chair. Not since the days of Charlie Manson did you have the circus thing going on in court. Daniel and Arturo Hernandez came in to handle the case.
We've only been in practice for, 2 years. Get a call from his parents' lawyers in El Paso. Licenciado, soy Ricardo Ramírez, el papá de Richard. ¿Nos puede ayudar? We were looked upon like not capable.
It never had a case of this magnitude.
Let alone one that involved, 13, 14 victims.
The gentleman standing there in front of Mr. Ramirez really had no standing before the court.
Correct. To me.
I would have to take him outside and teach him a lesson.
Just a minute.
The celebrities thought that we were celebrities. You gotta make sure that you don't totally blow it.
There is a 5-pointed star enclosed in a circle. A pentagram has had the last word.
Hail Satan.
Image of his palm with the pentagram and the sound of his voice saying, "Hail Satan." They'll be there.
Ramirez had a lot of groupies. A lot of people that thought he was just great.
Women that wanted to fuck Richard Ramirez simply because he was famous.
For groupies, young women dressed in black who wrote letters to the defendant, blamed society for the trouble Ramirez now faces.
Never saw a defendant with more sex appeal than Richard Ramirez.
That's just the bad boy syndrome, gone steroid.
Charisma that women found attractive.
Dumbest bitches ever.
Right.
I don't get it.
Richard Ramirez wouldn't reciprocate. He'd look at you as dinner.
Ramirez was also accused of some child molest cases.
Mommy's holding her hand, and she whispered something in Mommy's ear. Said she remembers you the best because you remind her of her teddy bear. And I'll go testify in court if it means keeping him locked up so he can't hurt any other little girls like he hurt me. I just said, "Excuse me," and I got up and I walked out. Mr. Salerno, it took him about 30 seconds longer, and then he walked out. What do you say, fellas? What do you say we dismiss all the kitty cases?
And the fact that Ramirez is looking at the death penalty in 13 other cases.
Trial finally beginning 3.5 years after his arrest. Just his reputation that extra security was set up outside the courtroom.
Thing was a night. I mean, it was a painful experience, and it never ended.
Prosecutors are expected to call 140 witnesses.
He survived one of the Night Stalker attacks.
You bitch, you motherfucker. You don't scream, otherwise I'm going to kill you. Swear upon God. And he slapped me one more time, and he said, "Swear upon Satan."
The emotional pain, you can feel it, and it affects you.
Barbarity and the horrendous nature of the crime. And she sat through all of it.
I have a cat, and the cat is staring at me, and I suddenly realized what it would be like to be a mouse or a bird. I pictured what it would be like to be attacked by him.
The gunman who sodomized her 8-year-old son after shooting her husband in the head.
I just knew you were in the presence of evil, and so I had to walk outside of the courtroom, just into a hallway. And I sat on the bench, and there was some other people that, maybe didn't make it in to get a seat. I remember thinking, I wonder why he's here. He turned his hand over. I could see he had a tattoo of a pentagram sitting next to somebody who looked up to the person that killed my grandmother. This sense of just not being able to really escape it, evil being all around you.
Still hear her screams of terror during the shooting, then her crying, "Mommy, please don't die."
Spoke of the quality of mercy demonstrated by my mother's murderer. He beat my mother in the head with a heavy object, blood that my brother and I cleaned up. He then strangled my mother. The true nature of the mercy of Richard Ramirez.
They started reading the verdicts, and it was guilty after guilty after guilty. I was very relieved to hear it's just a string of guilty, guilty, guilty.
I love this guy.
To what I believed in. And when they read guilty on the first count, then I knew the rest of them were in. And I crawled in bed and I started crying like a baby.
I just knew it in my heart. I just knew it in my heart.
I wished my dad would have been there. Wanted him to be proud. He had already passed away. Wife just leaned over and said, "It's okay."
I said, "Gil, your dad is with you."
Called Night Stalker, killer and rapist, to death in the gas chamber.
Oh.
Heard them all before, and the fact remains that what his is capable of. I am beyond your experience. I am beyond good and evil.
I didn't deal. That's always one of the territory. I'll see you in Disneyland.
Are you gonna go to my execution? Frank, what about you? I said, yes, I am. And that would have put an end to it.
We had Richard Ramirez en route to San Quentin. It was very, very eerie, very surreal. Would you like to know about the two old ladies on Telegraph Hill? Wouldn't you? That crime scene was very horrific. He said it was me. So there's no doubt in my mind committed other crimes in San Francisco.
It's hard to believe that he could contain himself for that long. So, yeah, I think there's a good chance there may be some other cases out there.
It was in his first rodeo, that 1 year. There might be a lot more crimes out there that these people never caught.
Is there such a thing as bad seed when a baby is born? Is he already a serial killer? You're recording this conversation. Make sure the tapes are destroyed after we're done. You're not going to make me out to look bad, are you?
Richard Ramirez, the serial killer known as the Night Stalker, is dead. Ramirez died of natural causes today in a hospital.
Cancer. Such an odd death. Kind of a blessing. More than he gave his victims.
I'll never forgive him. Because I can't forget. I live with it every day.
Our ministry has taught us to look at all the happy memories. We talk about Grandma to the kids and to the great-grandkids. They know about her.
Okay, I grew up, I went to school, I got married, I have a family. Turned me into what he was.
What causes a person to do what he does? I don't think we really know. I really don't.
I say prayers at night. Glory be to the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, with names, people. End up with Ramirez.
Well, this episode was super emotional. So throughout this whole series, one person who has gotten to me every time he talks is Gil. I don't know what it is. I cannot describe it. I do not understand why I listen to him and I just get super emotional when he tells the story. As he was talking, I've been trying to figure it out. What it is about that man that could make me easily cry. Maybe because I understand him a lot. I understand he was saying stuff like how he wished his father was there, and he wishes his father was there to see him and to be proud of him. And maybe that's what it is, because I love my dad and he's not here. He hasn't been here for a while. So sometimes I think about it like very often. So, and I always am like, damn, I wish he was here now, because ciao, the way I was back in the day, ciao, and the way I am now, completely different. So sometimes I just kind of wish maybe that's what it is, or maybe because he reminds me of when he talks, my grandfather would tell stories, and maybe that's what it also is. I mean, I just don't know. Maybe it's a mixture of a lot of things, but overall, he always made me very emotional. Then hearing the other stories, although throughout the series we heard it, I think everything, all of it combined, started making me very emotional. And then what also made me super emotional was, I'm like, yo, humanity is fucked. Excuse my language. And that was a very hard, because the women are over, after he's killed so many people, women are over there with their breasts out and they're over there sending him letters. And I wish that America had some type of law where we could arrest all these people. I mean, freedom of speech, kind of. I would just arrest them because they're sick as hell. And then the people are coming there in the courtroom with they're just horrible. And trust me, it's gotten worse, as you guys know. The world has gotten worse. So you can just see the rapid change. Like, you try to think positive, like, okay, they caught the guy and he's now dead. But there's now generation after generation after generation, because those crazy ass women, okay, that if they were killed, their family would be on our damn TV screen talk about our child is the greatest. But as you see, look at that. Just all those families that suffered those murders, those losses, you guys are just there, non-caring, you just are disgusting. You're disgusting people, and unfortunately, I know you probably had kids, and hopefully they broke the pattern, but as life has shown you, the pattern never gets broken. There has to be somewhere, somehow, the cycle gets broken, but, you know, God bless, Godspeed. But overall, he died of cancer. He didn't even get the death penalty. He didn't even face the gas chamber. Oh my God. Overall, though, we've came to the conclusion of this person, and you see all the stuff that he went through as a kid. It just built up. Crazy. And to tell you the truth, he was not an like, I know that they described him as ugly and he smelled and but you can see he wasn't an ugly person. He wasn't an ugly kid. He just was obviously tormented and went through a whole bunch of stuff. Then he fell into Satanism, and even before you saw all that hair, he wasn't even ugly. He wasn't ugly. You know what I mean? Also, I mean, what does that matter? But it's just absolutely insane. You know, they kind of said like Dahmer. That was one thing they said about Dahmer. Dahmer wasn't ugly, and Ted Bundy. Dahmer wasn't ugly. Ted Bundy wasn't ugly. I think that maybe somebody said that about John Casey. But yeah, people always mention about attractiveness to serial killers, and you heard it here as well. I wonder if like every serial killer that we watch together, guys, because we're watching it together, if they're going to say that. Look, I'm starting to feel like that's the trending top, like they're going to mention that the person is not ugly. And I'm like, Ted Bundy was not attractive, and neither was Dahmer, but whatever. And I mean, he was, you know, whatever. But anyways, this guy's dead, and that was crazy, and he had no damn teeth. That shit was crazy, and he didn't care. He had no remorse. He did not care at all, and that's another scary ass moment. Anyways, guys, comment down below what you thought about this episode. Comment down below what you think about this reaction, because I hope you guys liked it. And just comment down below, because you're effing here. So with that being said, I'll see you guys next time with more true crime